Alright, so we wanted to also demonstrate how to make a view here in Visual Studio with MVC 4, and we're going to do this all in ASPX. And so we already designed ourselves our login model here, and we already designed ourselves a class or a controller class. So we already made some controller methods. So let's go ahead and create a view and do some validation. So first things first, let's right click on our model method here. I'm going to say add view, and we're just going to leave the view name as login, and let's create a strongly typed view, meaning that it's going to inherit the model that we want it to. And it has all of these different models built into here for whatever reason, so I can already tell that's going to cause some problems. So I'm just going to hit add view. I'm not going to add a model, and I'll show you how to do it manually here. I do have a master page. You don't have to have one for this, but I'm just going to hit add master page. And then to go ahead and change the model, my application you could see here is named MVC application, and it's in the namespace models, and my model name is login. So to point it to that, I would say MVC application dot models dot login. And I'll put that down there so you can see it. Sorry, for some reason I'm very stuffy this morning. So I have my MVC application, my namespace that I'm working in, the namespace that my login is in, and the class login. So I'm going to build this to show you that it's going to work just fine. And now let's go ahead and build our login. So first you'll say using HTML begin form, and this is just kind of like a a helper, if you will, that will kind of go ahead and you need that colon there. It's a helper to go ahead and create this form dynamically for you. So it'll put a lot of these things together and kind of create a standardization of the form for you. So, and in any case, we're going to say HTML. These are all HTML helpers, and we're going to say anti-forgery token, and this is to help with making sure that people aren't doing cross-site scripting, so it's a security thing. And if you don't want to include that on our controller 4, we had a validate anti-forgery token attribute here. If you want, you can just delete that or comment this out, and then it'll work just fine. So continuing on then, we are also going to need a way to give user feedback, so that's in the validation summary, and I set that to true. And so anytime that we need to display feedback to the user from the server, it will pop up wherever that is going to be placed. So if you want that at the bottom, place it at the bottom. If you want the top, place it at the top. Typically, I place it at the top because sometimes when there's a post method, the user is pushed to the top, and that's the first place that they'll see the error. So next, let's just go ahead and let's start making our lambda expressions for creating our text boxes and validation messages. So, so we will say a label because we want it to be a label. You need to display something, and you will say model, and you kind of make this little arrow, if you will, and this arrow is pointing to our username. Dot username. Okay, and let's also give them a text box now. So text box 4 model. Again, you make your little arrow, model username. Okay. And I forgot my, I forgot my colon there. You want your little colon in front. Don't, it won't throw an error, I believe, if you throw a semicolon at the end like that. Don't do that. Do the colon in the front. It lets it know that this is going to be an inline expression. So. And then finally, we need to give them an error message. So we're also going to say HTML validation message, oh sorry, HTML message validation message 4 model.username. And then finally, we're going to do the same thing with password. So HTML label 4 model, make your arrow, password. HTML. Now this is going to be a password for, instead of a text box, you can say password for. We'll say a model password, right? And then we need to give them feedback. So HTML dot validation message for our password, right? And then finally we need to give them a submit button. Input type equals submit, value equals login, right? So all we've done is we've given them a couple different ways to get validation messages back to the user. We've given them their text boxes, and we've given them their display labels to let them know what's going on. So I'm going to rebuild this, make sure everything's just fine. Looks like it is. So let's go ahead and view this. I'm going to right click and I'm going to say view in page inspector. And it's going to pull up. It needs to pull up the local host and everything. And sometimes it takes a little bit of extra time the first time it comes around because it needs to start up your IIS. Internet Information Services is what that stands for. And there you go. I'm going to minimize this over here. And you can see if you pull out your box here, if I can pull out the HTML, I can't. That's fine. So it built us a username text box. It built us a password. See, now it just hides the characters. It built us a password text box. Built us a username text box. And we built ourselves a nice little input button. And you can see here that the validation messages that we made for our login model appear when I hit login. So I didn't enter a username, so I'll do that. And now you can see that message just kind of went magically poof right away. And now all of a sudden I have a username, and it's going to say please enter your password, and I will just enter a couple characters because anything. And in our controller we made it so that it will redirect to our home page that we made, or anywhere. So if this is valid, which right now we have nothing checking to make sure that this is a valid username or password, so all we care right now is that both fields are filled. If I hit login, this should redirect us to the home page, and it did. So that is one very practical way of redirecting a person like that. If in the future here, if people want, I can start showing you how to do membership schemas and things like that, which is really common in MVC. So you will actually do user validation in this box here. And that kind of concludes this video.